Hi everyone, this is Deanna, the Organized Miss, and I am planning a junk journal class that I was invited to teach. These are the journals and the types of covers that I'm going to walk through that can be used to create a junk journal cover. So we have a bunch of different types here, and I'll just kind of walk through each of them. So the first one is this journal, which was my envelope journal that I recently made. And what I used for this cover, so I had gotten some packaging in the mail, and this is one I just recently got, so I've saved it for a future cover. But that's what I used for this, and I just covered it in paper. So I had cut it down to the size I wanted, and covered both sides in paper. And so that is one thing that you can do to make a cover, is to use your postal envelopes that come in. So this one was a file folder. So as you can see, it was a manila file folder that I had coffee dyed. So I think I probably used some of the rest of it for like tags, and I had saved this it was the perfect size to be a journal. So again, I covered it with paper just on the outside, nothing fancy on the inside, because I just like the look of that. So file folder, that's something you can use. So one of my all-time favorites is envelopes. So I didn't do, what I got here? I didn't do any like extra fancy cover on this. The envelopes themselves are the cover. So let's see. So I just used the envelopes here and just, layered them and attached them to one another, and then covered, in paper. So that's something you can do. You don't even need another material for your cover. What do I got here? This was an Amazon packaging. Yeah, so this was one of those bubble mailers. They send you in the mail and says, recycle this. So I said, okay. In fact, I think I used this size, and I used this size and I think I cut it like, maybe, I don't know, this might have been the one side of it. So this is something you can use. And so I just like pulled it open, and you can use this side. So you could cut it to whatever size you want it. If you want it to be small like this one, fold it. You can cut it. It can be tall. You could make it this way if you wanted a full, letter size one. You can paint it, you can cover it, or you can leave it, natural, which sometimes I do like to do that, just because, hey, this is recycled art. And maybe I didn't mention, the name of my class is It's Not Junk, It's Art. So we're using things that maybe, typically get thrown in the trash, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's still good. So like this one, this was a brown paper bag. I want to say from like Kinko's or something, that I had picked up some printing, and I covered it with paper where the writing would be, I think. So this is just one side of it, but essentially a paper bag that you can kind of try to give it kind of a leather look, which I collaged napkin onto it, and then I used alcohol inks or distressed ink, I don't remember, it's been several years, to kind of give it this kind of old world leather look. So that's another thing that you can use to be a cover for a journal. Let's see, what else have I got over here? Okay. This one was made with a manila envelope, I believe. Yes, a manila envelope that, let me kind of see that in there. I covered with paper and then I sewed around it because I like to do that. I think that gives a fun little detail. But you can kind of see it there. And it was a 6x9, one of the smaller ones, so that you could turn it this way. And then if you want, you could leave, like, here's the, actually the bread I think is still in there. You could fold the closure over. You could leave it open, then it could be a pocket like I did on the other one. So that's another, you know, thing that we all kind of have laying around, whether it's an actual manila envelope, you know, something that's kind of like that you get in the mail. You know, we all get stuff like that, and trust me, I throw away more than I keep, but I do keep, you know, some of that stuff. This one, actually, how I got the idea from it was this was sent to me through a, like an exchange. One of the first junk journal swaps, I guess, that I had done was over 4th of July, my very first year of learning about junk journaling. And so the requirement was to use this size and, you know, make it on theme. And so this was the one that was sent to me. And so she had left the flap out like that. And so cool. I just love all the detail that she did there. So that is something that you can do, and that's the cover of your journal. So that's where I got this idea from. Obviously, my style is not too far off. It just happens to be themed. And then this one is one that I've been working on for several years. Oh, this is the Kinko's bag. Okay, this must have just been another brown paper bag. So I watched a video, I think it was Artie Mays, who challenged her, you know, subscribers to make a junk journal using the cover using a brown paper bag. And so I think this was my first attempt. This may have been my second attempt. And so this was, so I did leave the pocket in here because I wanted to be able to slide things in if I want. But I love that you could tell that it is the bag. It said recycled. So I said, okay, I will do that. So I didn't cover it all up on purpose because I did like the way that looked. And then I went through and added, you know, my own embellishments. And on the inside, I did add some, this is like thicker cardstock paper, just to give it a little more structure because it is a paper bag. I think I also slid some cardboard in between to because this wasn't open, to like thicken this, to hold that a little more sturdy on this side, because this is the pocket. I did, yes I did. So let's see. So there's a lot of things you can do, just because you might think, oh, that's not, how's that going to be a book cover? I got some more bags here, you know, and if I wanted to do, well, really, about that size, this could be turned into a book cover. So obviously, you know, you want to reinforce it either on the inside or the outside or both, but you wouldn't have to if you like that crinkly sound. So that is, so those are just some ideas, but really you know, your imagination's your only limit as to what you could use for a journal cover. So for this class, I'm just going to show these. I'm actually going to take these with me to show as examples, but I'm going to make one that I'm going to have as part of a giveaway. And that's what I thought I would do here in this video, is figure out what my cover is going to be. So let's go find some things. Where did this come from? Probably here, probably in here. So I'll have to find where that came off at and put it back. I just have been saving some packaging that's come in. So this first one was a very thick, like, as you can see, this one is very sturdy. This is going to make a great cover. Whatever was in it, it was also, it was very sticky. So very gummy. While there was something in there, then it was stuck on both sides of it. So when the package, whatever was in it, came out, then these pieces stuck together because it's still gummy. So I thought, you know, I could use this. Again, still pretty thick. Make a good size. I can still kind of cut it down. But I would need to do something with all this. It's still kind of feels like rubber cement a little bit. So I'd probably cover this. So this is one option. I did keep this mailer here, and this is an option also, which I do love this. I love the feel of it. I love the sound of it. I love that it specifically asked me to recycle it. So, you know, I have to consider that. And then I have this one, another kind of sturdy, you know, mailer thing. So the theme of it's a 3-day crafting retreat. And so most of the people I think that will be there will be scrapbookers. So it may be their first introduction to junk journaling. I have no idea. I was invited to teach. So I am there because I want to share the junk journaling love with everyone. And so the theme is, I just forgot it. A moment in time. Something very like, you know, because everyone's scrapbooking, mostly like loved ones and stuff. I thought it would be fun to do like a vintage, ancestor inspired feeling junk journal. So that does not evoke the feelings for me, but this one does. I pulled this out for inspiration for me. So this one was I made this. I used mixed media to come up with the papers and colors, and then I used lots of things that I had. But as far as this coloring goes, and the theme was a sheet music that I'd been gifted from a friend, and it had this gal on the sheet music, and it was called Wild Rose, I think was my wild Irish rose. So this was the actual cover to the sheet music, and then in with this was the picture of her and some other, you know, the music. And so I used all that as inspiration to, you know, to put this together. And so I actually thought of, I don't know where that went. I actually thought of this was who this book was about. Some fictional wild Irish rose. And so she's not actually an ancestor or a family member that I would journal about per se, but she was my inspiration. And so I thought, well, I will use this idea, not necessarily the roses and all of that per se, but the idea of this journal. Of course, my themes obviously are roses because the girl is a wild rose. And so kind of build my journal around this. I'm just looking back through this. It's been a while since I flipped through it. So yeah, so just my inspiration here for what I want to do with this one. And I don't know that I will completely embellish the one I'm making because I want to kind of have it more as a base. That is what I'm thinking. And then here she is again. So this was very like, you know, supposed to be kind of vintage, you know, maybe something you could keep, journal about a family member or something, like just scrapbook. I think was kind of where I was going with this one. So this is my inspiration. Where am I going to set this while I'm working? Just there. And so this is I'm gonna have to trim this some, so I guess I guess I've decided on that one. So the next thing is, now that I figured out what my cover's going to be, the next thing would be to decide what size I want this to be, and you know, how I want to bind it and the signatures all together. So is it going to be as simple like a pamphlet stitch where I would just sew the signatures in like this, which is what I've done here. Now here I actually use the sewing machine with this one because the material is so thick, I think, and gummy and all the things. I'd probably just pamphlet stitch it, like or you know, figure 8 or something. But another option could be to cut it in half, and then I'd have 2 pieces that I would I could coil bound it, and it could be like a spiral coil bound, or I could create a spine piece, another piece in there is this. So this I actually cut, it's maybe hard to see, but you can see in there the different material that I actually made a separate spine as opposed to this. So this was one signature. This had, I think, 2 in there, 2 large ones. So that's something I could, you know, cut this and then add the spine in, which is where I'm leaning right now, just because of, I am going to have to cut some of this, the pieces off here, which I guess I wouldn't have to. I could leave it. Okay, so the next thing is I want to cover this, and before I decide to either fold it or cut out a spine, I do want to cover this, so at least it'll all be the same. So my options are to use some, what I was thinking is paper, like scrapbook paper, but because I'm junk journaling here and I've got a pile of stuff that I've been working on here, I'm just going to work from this. And I think, because this is what popped out at me, is this wrapping paper. I bet you can see there is a theme to how I like to journal. That is very plain, you know, and I could, you know, you can do a lot with this. You know, this, you could use all manner of colors with this, is what I'm thinking. And I've had this wrapping paper, which is why I'm trying to use it for things. I just like the color of this. This feels warmer to me, and because it is. So I'm going to use this. And I'm just going to layer this up in there. You can see I've tried to use some of it. Let's see how we think about this. No. I may need to go back and add some liquid glue around the corners, which is probably what I'm going to do here. But first I'm going to get this all down. I mean, that's pretty good. Looks like it's, you know, obviously got a couple of here. Sometimes you just got to make sure you get the glue all the way to the corners. And this I'm going to trim down. So let's do that next. This should now look like a square. So I like that, and it didn't have to be a square. That's just what I chose to make it. It could have been like a rectangle or something. Now it's got all this character. And if this were the inside, if I wanted to make it this the inside of my book and that the outside, I could do that. Or I could make this the inside and this the outside. And I think before I go further, I'm going to decide what size papers I'm going to put in here, because that's going to also determine the, you know, the height of this. And I'm realizing now that I'm editing, this video is already long enough. So I will be breaking this up into multiple videos. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video.